What's up, guys? SmartHelping.com here. We're going to go over the upgrades to the car wash 5-year financial model. It has some great things with capacity and seasonality that I'm going to go over. I've also added the three-statement financial model integration to it, the cap table, and I've cleaned up a lot of the controls here. So what I'll do is go through each tab and explain how it works, and then you'll understand how to use this model. First off, all the assumptions are in light yellow cells on each of the tabs, and all the main assumptions are on the light yellow tabs. Don't edit other things, or you potentially could break it. Now, you should also know that these assumptions are arbitrary. You should be entering your own information into here when you use the tool. So first off, we start by defining the company name. This will flow to the financial statements so they look nice and formal. Launch year, whatever year you plan to launch. This is a formula for launch date. End year, exit. So this could be either the end month if you plan on stopping operations or just want to run a 3-year or something less than full 5 years, that's fine. Whatever month you define here, the model will stop. And then you can also define if on that end month you want to include a terminal value or not, and that terminal value will be based on a multiple of the annualized EBITDA in that end month. And again, you can obviously hit no here, and the model will just run to the end month and be done. Start month of operations. This defines when your car counts actually begin. And I'll get more into that when we get into the revenue assumptions. You can also define cash sources here for any debt financing. The model then solves for the minimum equity requirement needed based on all the startup costs and any burn that happens to stay afloat. Then you've got some tax information down here if you want to include taxes. And then you've got all your checks right here in E36 to 43. This looks at all the different statements and summaries and makes sure everything always balances out. And it's been tested extensively to make sure that when you change anything in light yellow, it will work. Next tab, startup costs, simple schedule. These would be items that are not depreciable. If you're defining depreciable items, you'll do that on the CapEx schedule. So this could be things like legal fees, um, what's the other tax deductible stuff, like maybe a website launch, um, consulting, maybe an ad campaign, stuff like that happen before operations begin. Then you've got running costs. You can define per car variable costs for electricity, natural gas, water, detergent, claims, repair and maintenance. And this information you can research in your area or in general. And this will obviously be variable based on the car counts. These numbers change. You also have fixed costs. So you can define what we've got 14 items here. You can define for fixed monthly costs. You can define the monthly amount in each year. Revenue assumptions. This is the best part of the model. You can define your per year expected car counts, and you define the growth here. You've also got pricing per wash type, the percentage of cars that fall into each wash type, and the amount of time that each wash type takes. And this is important to determine your percentage of capacity that's used based on your seasonality assumptions in this row. And this defines the percentage of your annual car counts that happen in each month. And you could also check that by going 1 or 2 or 3 up to 5. And you can see if you have any errors here, meaning your capacity is over 100%, it will let you know. For example, if I have year one, and I think I'm going to have 500,000 cars, based on this car count time and the percentage that fall in each one, I am 963% over capacity, so I probably need 10 locations to be able to have that many cars based on this information here. So some really cool logic. I thought this was very useful for anybody trying to plan out their potential revenues from a car wash. Debt schedule is just amortization, flows from the global control for the amount. You could define the terms here and the start month. This will automatically be assumed to be paid back if you define yes for terminal value being included in the end month. Otherwise, it'll just show you the balance in the last month of the model. Terminal value, the only thing you're defining here is a percentage of any exit proceeds that are going towards ordinary income versus fixed assets. This is just a tax thing. If you have no fixed assets that you want to apply it to on your exit, you can just put 100% here. That's fine. CapEx schedule, this is where you define potential building or development costs here. Anything that's depreciable. The first one is just for building stuff, and you could define that value at sale manually. The rest of this is like equipment or just general items that you can depreciate with some useful life. This all flows to the throughout the model, where income statement will take in the depreciation. Balance sheet includes the value. You've got accumulated depreciation as well counted here, and then any exit, if you include the exit proceeds, a portion of it to apply to fixed assets, that comes into here, and that will be affecting taxes in that exit month. Okay. I can actually extend these columns out a bit so you can see. Next up, cap table. This is if you're raising money from outside investors or inside. You want to track who has contributed what and how much of the different stock types that you're offering they have. I just included 3 stock types: common shares, class A and B, as well as you define your share count here and the percentage of each type. And then you get a fully diluted ownership value here. That flows to the bottom. This would be basically your total for outside investors. And then inside investors, you define if they contributed anything and their share of stocks and fully diluted ownership value will populate. Also shows distributions based on the total yearly available cash distributions, and you get an internal rate of return. You don't have to have investors. Obviously, you could zero that out and it could be all owners, and just, you can fill this ownership part out accordingly, and that's completely fine too. Next up, you've got your income statement, which is monthly, income statement annual. We've got balance sheet monthly, balance sheet annual, and then cash flow statement monthly. Now the name up here will change based on what you put. The month start and end will change based on your assumptions. All that's formatted on all these statements. Then we've got executive summary. This is just another high-level view that shows key line items and all the different cash flow items. Distributions is your discounted cash flow analysis, net present value for the project, as well as for investors and owners if you do have investors, and a visual on that. And a check. A couple of visuals. These are really cool visuals, actually. This shows how much of the available capacity are you using each year, and it's obviously seasonality, so some periods you may be using a lot versus not a lot. This is another good one. This shows you, so average operating minutes. This is operating minutes available, and this is your actual usage. And that's again based on what you define here in the revenue assumption for timing and car counts. And so based on this timing, it'll show you the max potential capacity you're using versus, or you could use versus what you are using. So these are really awesome visuals, I thought. Then there's 5-year monthly and annual detail. This shows your car counts by type, by month, the revenues per wash type, variable costs, fixed costs, EBITDA, debt service, other cash flow items. And then this is the logic for a lot of those charts. Running cash flow. So this is more granular if you want to see on the same timeline what all the assumptions are looking like here. And then we got a return summary. This is just a high-level return summary, and then some charts here to show car account by wash type, revenue, expense, profit, running cash flow, position, profit margins, debt service coverage. And that's everything. So hopefully this helps a lot of people looking to start their own car wash. Link is in the description box below. I'll also post it to eFinancial Models and Eloquence. And I hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you on the next one.